Welcome back to our deep dive. Today, we're digging into something pretty interesting in the golf world. It's this fresh perspective on getting better at golf, really, sparked by looking at some newer tech like Sportsbox and Puddleize.
Yeah, and what really jumped out from the source material, for me anyway, was this kind of wall you hit in golf instruction sometimes. A real resistance, to ideas that sound genuinely new.
Resistance. How so?
Well, the author drops this statistic, and it's pretty startling. They say 99% of golf professionals, when they hear something totally new, their first reaction is basically, that can't be right. I've never heard that before.
99%. Seriously?
99%. It's quite something. You have to wonder where that comes from, right? Is it just years of doing things one way, or maybe a fear of looking wrong, or just, sticking with what's comfortable?
Could be any of those, I suppose. It definitely makes you think about how much potential improvement might be getting, well, blocked.
Exactly. And that stat, that 99%, it really sets up the main point the author's making.
Which is
That if you really want to improve, really advance your game, it's not about just doing the same drills or hearing the same tips that have been around for, 1,500 years?
okay, so not just recycling old advice.
Right. It's about actively hunting down and actually being open to those never heard that before ideas. The stuff that might initially make you go, huh.
So cultivating that openness, even if it sounds a bit weird at first.
Precisely. But, and this is key, it's not just about accepting weird ideas blindly. The next step is crucial. You've got to test them, validate them somehow.
And that's where technology comes in, I guess.
Exactly. The author makes a strong case that modern tech is really starting to show the cracks in some very long-held golf wisdom. We're talking tools like TrackMan.
Right, TrackMan that measures the ball flight, launch, spin, all that data.
Yeah, that one. And these are pressure mats, too. Those show how you're using the ground, your balance, your weight shift during the swing.
Okay, so objective data.
Objective data. And what's fascinating and kind of disruptive, it's how this data is sometimes flat-out contradicting stuff coaches have been saying for generations.
So the tech is forcing a bit of a rethink.
You could say that. The article brings up a classic example, that old putting saying, never up, never in.
Oh yeah, everyone knows that one. Put it past the hole, basically.
Right. It's practically gospel for so many golfers.
Yeah.
But the author suggests, based on data, that maybe it's, outdated, that the reality of successful putting is a bit more nuanced now.
Interesting. So even something that fundamental might be wrong. Or at least not the whole story.
That seems to be the implication. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other bedrock truths of golf might be due for a serious look?
Yeah, definitely. And it connects to a bigger idea, I think. The risk any field runs, really, if it gets too stuck in its ways, too resistant to new info.
Absolutely. Stagnation. The author's pushing hard on seeking out what hasn't been said as the key to breaking through.
Now, speaking of new tech, the piece really zooms in on one specific tool, Sportsbox AI 3D. Can you unpack that for us a bit?
Sure. So, Sportsbox AI 3D. Think of it as a way to see your golf swing in, 3D using just your phone or tablet. No fancy sensors all over your body.
Yes, your phone. How does that work?
It uses the camera and some pretty clever AI to capture your movement, but the real magic is in the analysis. It measures key biomechanical things, how much your hips turn, wrist angles, speed, sequence, loads of stuff.
Okay.
And then it compares your numbers, your movements against what elite tour players do. They have this huge database. They call the optimal ranges the green zone.
The green zone. So it visually shows you if you're doing what the pros do.
Pretty much. When you upload your swing, the app highlights which parts of your motion are in the green, matching those top players and where you might be, off track.
So it's like getting a blueprint comparison. Very clear, very visual, cuts through the guesswork maybe.
Exactly. It's about getting specific, targeted feedback based on data, not just someone's opinion or how a swing feels. And the author notes, apparently a lot of LPGA Tour players are already using it for exactly that reason.
That makes sense. Get that precise feedback. Now, there was a story in the piece about a PGA Tour broadcast from Korea that sounded pretty telling.
Oh, yeah, that was a great little anecdote. Really highlights the power and maybe the disconnect we were talking about.
Yeah.
So apparently during the broadcast, a Sky Sports commentator mentioned offhand that some tour players had actually filmed a certain Japanese player's swing
Okay.
and run it through Sportsbox. And the result, every single metric they measured came up green.
Every metric?
Every single one. Just, textbook, fluid, efficient, powerful motion according to the data benchmarks.
Wow.
Yeah. And it really drives home that point about resistance, doesn't it? You've got this tech showing, at the highest level, what an optimal swing looks like biomechanically. Yet back to that 99% stat. There's still this widespread skepticism about new information.
That's a great point. The author mentioned most viewers probably just heard that comment and didn't realize how, well, revolutionary it actually was.
Probably not. But it signals a shift, right? Towards objective, data-driven analysis, even right there on a live tour broadcast. It's moving away from just, oh, that looks good, to the numbers show why it's good.
Measuring the actual biomechanics.
Exactly. Which leads to the question, if the tech can define efficient movement so clearly, why is there still such a reluctance in some parts of the golf world to really embrace these insights?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? But, I mean, is there maybe a risk in just relying purely on data? Like, what about individual feel or different body types? Does Sportsbox just treat everyone the same?
That's a fair point, and definitely something coaches need to consider. The data provides benchmarks, the green zone, but how you apply that, how you coach someone towards it, still requires skill and understanding of the individual. It's a tool, not a replacement for good coaching.
Okay, so it's about using the data smartly.
Right, and that ties back to the whole resistance thing, that initial pushback.
Yeah.
But the author here, they're not just pointing out the problem, they're actually offering a way for you, the listener, to engage with this directly.
Ah, right. There's an offer mentioned.
Yes. So the author, Henrik Jensch, who's actually a PGA pro involved with Sportsbox AI 3D, is offering a 14-day free trial of the app.
A free trial, okay.
Yeah. It's a chance for you to actually see it in action, whether for your own game or if you're a coach, to see how it might work with your students, see what this data actually looks like.
And there's more to it than just the trial, isn't there?
Correct. After the 14 days, they're also offering a follow-up Zoom meeting. The idea is to help you figure out how to really use the information effectively, how to interpret it to, well, get that competitive edge we talked about.
That sounds pretty comprehensive. So if you're interested, where do you go?
The sign-up link is, let me get it right, https://lnkd.nujxtuh. I'll make sure that link is in the show notes too, make it easy to find.
Perfect. So try the tech, get some guidance on using it.
Exactly. But beyond just trying it, the author also puts out a call, sort of, for feedback. 2 calls, actually.
Yeah.
First, if you're someone who's already using Sportsbox, they'd love to hear why. What made you jump in? How's it working for you or your students?
Okay. Feedback from current users.
Yep. And second, maybe even more importantly, for understanding that resistance, if you're not using it, they want to know why not.
Ah, the other side of the coin.
Right. What are the barriers, the hesitations? What would make you consider using tech like this? Getting thoughts from both sides is really valuable for the whole golf community to maybe bridge that gap we discussed.
Helps everyone understand the potential or the perceived hurdles.
Precisely, because ultimately this whole discussion, this deep dive, it's bigger than just golf, isn't it?
How do you mean?
Well, the core message is about challenging that outdated thinking, being willing to look at new information, even if it feels weird or goes against the grain initially. That applies everywhere.
True? Being open to the never heard that before stuff.
Yeah. And that leads to the final thought the author leaves us with, something for you to maybe mull over.
Okay, let's hear it.
How could being truly open to new ideas, maybe even ideas that seem strange at first, unlock breakthroughs for you? Not just on the golf course, but, in your work, your life, other areas.
That's a good question to sit with. It's really about that mindset, isn't it? Continuous learning, questioning assumptions.
Exactly. Fostering that curiosity and willingness to explore beyond the familiar.